Hello everyone, this is Strawberry Podfic. We are reading Not Quite Twins, Chapter 11. Izuku took a deep breath in and let it go. This was it. This would mean everything. Hitoshi has to get it. I won't allow anything else. Izuku looked around the prep room at his classmates, making sure to bite his lip as he pondered. Aoyama hasn't been doing so well against others. I don't think he's going to rank well today, but since he has his support belt, he may stand a chance. If he doesn't malfunction, if I have to fight him at any point, I know where to aim. Hagakure, her quirk thrives better in this kind of environment, but she would have to take off all her clothes. She seems to be more comfortable with that, but she wants to be noticed, so we'll see. Mineta, if he makes one more side comment about how Yaoyorozu should wear her costume so we can see her boobs, I'm going to be kicked out of the class for assault. As for the biggest threats, Bakugo obviously, I can take him down as proven, but he's still a force to be reckoned with. Yaoyorozu is going to be an amazing hero someday. She's formidable, and due to the nature of her quirk, you can never guess what she's going to pull. Of course, though, the biggest threat here is Midoriya. Izuku immediately looked up to see Todoroki looking at him, looking more annoyed than usual, and that was saying something. Objectively, I'm stronger than you. My only goal today is to beat you. Huh? What'd you say? Bakugo shouted, everyone looking over. I'm the only person in this class that you should be trying to beat, and you aren't even going to get that. Todoroki hummed, completely brushing Bakugo off as he looked at Midoriya. For some reason, All Might seems to have his eye on you. Beating you will be my goal for today. Good luck with that, Izuku said. I don't need luck. I'm stronger, Todoroki said. With your quirk? Izuku said. Of course you are, but here's what you're forgetting. That's not the only kind of strength we're talking about here. And wasn't that the truth? Not all of his classmates had bothered with strength training, and while Todoroki clearly had, it wasn't even close to the extent Izuku had been through. That wasn't even taking into account his intelligence, fighting style, and more. Izuku had trained for years and was able to apparently take down Yamada-sensei who... That's a great ace up your sleeve, little listener. Are you going to use it at the sports festival? I'm not sure, Izuku said nervously, fidgeting with his hands. I don't want my classmates to hate me, you know? I doubt they will, after all. Kaminari seems alright with it, Yamada-sensei said. He's actively pretending that he didn't see anything, Izuku said. Well, like I said, it's a great ace up your sleeve, Yamada-sensei said. It's one that you should use, and at the end of the day, I think you should teach your classmates how to do it to help defend themselves, and shock all of them by revealing it at the sports festival, just like your brother is doing with his quirk. Izuku paused at that, thinking. The best part, Yamada-sensei said, you only need to use it once for people to start getting nervous to fight hand-to-hand against you, and that's when people make mistakes. Whatever, Todoroki said, as Aizawa-sensei walked in. Is everyone ready? Aizawa-sensei asked, looking around. Everyone gave a sharp nod. Then let's go, Aizawa-sensei said, nodding out of the door. Right, everyone said, immediately going out of the door and into the stadium. Izuku took a deep breath as Yamada-sensei, present Mike, called out their class, and the crowd roared. Makes sense. I guess we're sort of famous for that villain attack, especially right now. Present Mike continued to call out classes, and Izuku found himself looking over at 1C him and Hitoshi looking each other in the eye and giving a short nod. This was the event that got Hitoshi into the sports festival. I think they mean hero course. Hitoshi just has to get to round 3. The highest ranking non-hero course student that gets into the 3rd round gets offered a spot. And now let's hear a word from the representative of the first years, Izuku Midoriya. What? Yeah, highest ranking in the hero exam, someone muttered. Oh shit, that's right, I forgot about that. Go up there, Whisper yelled, gently nudging Izuku, who walked up to the stage. Shit, what do I say? Let's all do our best, Izuku blurted out as soon as the mic was in front of him. Plus ultra! With that, he scampered back down the stairs of the podium and back to his classmates, ignoring the whispers of other classes. So inspiring, Midnight, apparently the rep for the first year, said. Then a screen appeared behind her and started to spin a wheel, appearing obstacle course. Our first event of the first year's sports festival is going to be an obstacle course. Please make your way to the starting line. Obstacle course? Easy enough. I'm not as good at parkour as Hitoshi, but I'm great in my own right. First up will be the Robo Inferno, then the fall, then the minefield. So tread carefully, Present Mike yelled. Oh, god damn it. It's still doable, though. 3, Present Mike shouted. 2, 1, go! And, of course, the real first obstacle of the course was revealed. The entrance. People started to get packed together like sardines, but Izuku jumped up, his quirk active as he jumped to the ceiling and ran across the walls, barely avoiding Todoroki's ice attack. Ignoring everything around him, from President Mike's commentary to the other students, his classmates and Hitoshi could take care of themselves. He had a race to win. Alright, next up is the Robo Inferno. Probably the robots from the entrance exam, but I get to use my quirk this time, so I can destroy them. 0 pointers stood in the way. Oh, god damn it, I cannot break my bones to take those down! A few other robots sat down around the rest of the area, Izuku barely glancing around to watch as he landed on solid ground and continued to run. After a few seconds, he rushed one of the robots as more ice crept up, destroying a 2-pointer and tearing off a large chunk. Taking some of the cables to tie it behind his back as he continued to run a little slower than before, but still keeping in one of the lead spots. But considering he let Todoroki get ahead of him, Bakugo blasting his way forward too. The minefield has an advantage when you aren't one of the first, not to mention, lo and behold, the fall. Todoroki used his ice to go across, some students following their dumbasses. He's gonna melt it when he's done. Bakugo blasting over, a support student using a grappling belt thing to go over. Cool! Izuku would ask questions about that when this was over. As for Izuku, I have to judge this carefully and control my jumps. Add on that I have approximately 70 kilograms on my back. Add that to my weight. 5% should get me from platform to platform. Momentum won't be fun, so I'll just have to leap and keep jumping. If I fall over, aim for a pillar and jump from the side of that. No pressure. Izuku fired up his quirk and took a deep breath, and then jumped. He landed on the edge of a platform, ran the rest of the way, and then jumped again, continuing until he was on the other side of the fall. Interesting quirk there, Greenie, the support student said, some air on her feet, keeping her from actually touching the ground for a few seconds before she started running again, Izuku going faster. Then he reached the minefield. Todoroki and Bakugo already ahead and fighting each other, mines flashy, not harmful according to President Mike, just to slow the students down because they're buried. They'd still slow Izuku down though, and he still had the medal strapped to his back. Oh, he had a terrible yet wonderful idea. Hitoshi was going to kill him later, but it was going to be worth it. Hitoshi, as soon as he got across the fall, used his quirk to draw in 4 people to help him get across the minefield. He was far up in the lineup, so he was confident he would get to the second round. But what the hell was Izuku doing near the start? He was moving so fast, and what was that on his hands? Oh god, what was that on his feet? But before Hitoshi could move forward to scream at his twin, Izuku slammed the metal into the freaking mines, blasting him across the goddamn field. Shoto glanced back at the sudden explosion, and his eyes widened at the realization that it wasn't the copy quirk from 1B using Bakugo's quirk. No, that was Midoriya sailing through the sky with smoke behind him, riding on a piece of metal, eyes determined as he got closer. Midoriya approached fast to see where Bakugo and Shoto were fighting for first place, falling there. It'll take him a minute to get back up. He's not my biggest threat here. I'll beat him. Midoriya fell between the two, head closer to the ground than the rest of them, and Shoto was ready to write him off. But all of a sudden, a foot slammed into his back, knocking him towards the mines on the ground as the same piece of metal slammed into the ground as well, setting off who knows how many mines and disorienting him. By the time the ringing stopped and Shoto and Bakugo started to blast away the smoke, Midoriya was already activating his quirk and past the finish line. That's him! Shigaraki hissed, his hand wrapped in bandages. Even Sensei didn't have a quirk able to fix his hand. That's the NPC that did this to me. Ah, I see, Sensei said. Izuku Midoriya. How interesting. I can't believe that fucking worked! As soon as he was past the finish line, Izuku tumbled to the ground and heaved a little, catching his breath before getting back up. What the hell? Bakugo yelled as he crossed the finish line in 3rd place, apparently. That was interesting. What the hell was that? Me beating you, Izuku said, then looked at Todoroki, who still looked mad, but Izuku then looked at the finish line and watched people going past. Not Hitoshi, not Hitoshi, not Hitoshi. Come on, where are you? I know I saw you at the start of the minefield when Oh, right, he's gonna kill me when he sees me. Izuku, dumbass Midoriya. Oh, there he is. Hitoshi, not placing in the top 10, but still placing high enough, stormed over to Izuku, an angry look on his face. Did you seriously do that? Hitoshi hissed, a hand on Izuku's shoulder. You're smarter than that. It worked. It worked, though. First place, Izuku said. And a near visit to Recovery Girl. Seriously, how were you already a regular patient? Hitoshi groaned. Izuku just smiled at that and watched as more people joined, then looked at the ground and mind starting to wander. It's usually a versus event, then a team event of sorts, then the third round. Should Toshi and I team up? No, or maybe... Let's not. Izuku looked at his brother and gave a short nod. You'd be a great teammate, but... Yeah, I get it, Hitoshi said, nodding thankfully. He seemed perfectly fine with it, not just saying that. From here on, we're against each other. I'll knock you down a few pegs so you aren't placing first again. Izuku grinned. I need you to get to the next round, but that doesn't mean I'm going to let you place ahead of me. Good luck. Hitoshi nodded, then walked away as Uraraka ran up to Izuku. You got first place, right? Uraraka said, slightly out of breath. Good job. Thanks. What place did you get? Izuku asked. 16th, Uraraka said. Not the best, but still great, Izuku said. Out of how many students? You still placed over more than half of the Hero Corps students. Are you ready for this next round? Yeah, Uraraka said, giving a high five. Just then, Midnight walked up, and the wheel started again. 42 students passed, likely all Hero students, plus the support student and Hitoshi. If any Hero student didn't pass, Hitoshi's spot is looking more guaranteed. We will be doing a cavalry battle, Midnight exclaimed, starting to explain the details. Then the damn points. 10 million? Todoroki was only 205. 10 million was way too much. Izuku could feel the eyes on him already. God damn it, everyone's going to be gunning for me. This is bad. This is going to be hard. Can I be on your team? Izuku jolted, then looked at Uraraka with tears in his eyes. You sure? Izuku asked. Of course. You always seem to have a plan, and it'll have everyone watching us, Uraraka said. Then looked over at Iida. Iida, want to join our team? Sorry, but I will pass, Iida said. Huh? Izuku and Uraraka asked. You are my friend, but as you are in first place, I would like to prove myself outside of your team. I will be gunning for your headband, but I do hope to see you in the next round, Iida said, then walked away. Hey, 10 million! Uraraka and Izuku looked over to see the girl from support rushing over, a huge grin on her face. Let me join your team, the girl said, then reached over and grabbed Izuku's hand, shaking it roughly. Mei Hatsume, future CEO of Hatsume Industries. My babies and I would love to be on your team and get noticed by all sorts of investors that will surely be watching over you. She's from the support course. I'm assuming the babies thing she means are her inventions. She managed to get past the fall easily. But non-hero course, if she gets past and further than Hitoshi, she'll get offered a spot instead of him. I can think about that later. Right now... Sure, welcome to the team. I'm Izuku Midoriya, Izuku said, shaking her hand back. Nice to work with you, 10 million, Hatsume said. Feel free to call me Mei. Then her eyes snapped to Uraraka, and something in her eyes moved, almost as if her quirk must be in her eyes. Some kind of sight zooming in order to see greater details, incredibly useful in a support setting when working with inventions all day long. Exactly! I have a feeling we're going to be working together a lot in the future, Mei said. Then looked at Uraraka. Just the three of us so far? Yeah, Izuku said, looking around, noticing his brother standing with three others, under the effect of his quirk. Aoyama, Ojiro, and a 1B student, if Izuku had his intel correct. That's Nejire Koda, quirk twin impact. Everyone else is forming teams already. We're going to be more focused on defense and keeping our headband instead of stealing more. Which means we would want a defensive quirk that, in case of someone getting past said defenses, can work offense. I know... Is he already snatched up? There he is. I've got an idea. I'll be right back, Izuku said, then began to walk away, quickly finding his way over to Tokoyami. Do you want to join our team? Tokoyami jolted slightly, Dark Shadow popping out and sort of looking Izuku over almost. Hi, Dark Shadow, Izuku said, when the quirk got closer. Dark Shadow seemed to like that, pressing against Izuku as Tokoyami sighed. What a mad banquet of darkness, Tokoyami said. I will join your team. He's glad you asked. He was trying to figure out how to go up to someone and ask, but he's too scared they'll say no, Dark Shadow added. Dark Shadow, Tokoyami said. Izuku nodded. I won't tell anyone, I promise. Come on, I also have Uraraka and a girl from support named Mei Hatsume. Tokoyami nodded, and the two walked over. Midnight also walked up to the team. Hey, I'm sorry to bother you with this, but is this your full team? Midnight asked. Yep, Uraraka said. Is there a problem? Mei asked. Well, Green Midoriya, are you going to be the horse? Midnight asked, glancing over to the side. Oh, nope, Izuku said. Hey, we're still deciding on that, Uraraka said. It would get more people to notice us, Mei added. Hidoshi's probably already the horse. It makes sense. It's easier to use this quirk, not to mention, if you want to be the horse, that's fine, but we'll have to choose a different last name for the team, Midnight said. I don't think that will be an issue. I do have a question, though, Izuku said. Yes, Midnight asked. As long as the horse doesn't touch the ground, everything is fine, right? Izuku asked, even if they aren't touching their teammates. You can't place a teammate on the stage, but other than that, it's allowed, Midnight said. Perfect, thank you, Izuku said, then turned to his classmates. Uraraka, how long could you hold, say, Tokoyami up in the air? 10 minutes, but I'd be really nauseous, Uraraka said. Right, Mei, do you have any jetpacks? Izuku asked. Oh, I love where this is going. I've got hover boots, Mei said, then looked at Tokoyami. And they'll adjust perfectly to your feet, too. And where is this plan going? Tokoyami asked. Easy. Not everyone is going to be able to reach you while you're in the air, and if someone does, Mei, you have grappling hooks, right? Izuku asked. I think I saw them at the fall. Mei beamed. My babies are perfect for this. Great to hear, Izuku said, then looked at Uraraka. We'll use the hover boots to keep Tokoyami in the air, Dark Shadow smacking people away that can even get close. Not that many can, though while Mei uses her grappling hooks to snatch away people that Dark Shadow isn't dealing with. You and I can work on distracting people down here and knocking down other teams, but stay close just in case something knocks Tokoyami out of the sky. Right, Uraraka said. Anything else we need to focus on? Izuku asked. One potential problem, Tokoyami said. They all looked at him. Dark Shadow has a certain weakness that we'll have to work around. Begin! Immediately, Tokoyami launched into the air using the hover boots. Dark Shadow lashing out and glancing around, ready to shoot down any attacks. Of course, Mei readied her grappling hooks immediately, shooting at a random group. Team Kaminari, that must be Togaru Kamakiri. No, Team Kamakiri, that must be Togaru Kamakiri on top, Pony Tsunori on bottom, grabbing onto Kamakiri and yanking him downwards, almost causing him to topple off. Barely not. There was a loud yell, and Bakugo launched off his team and towards Tokoyami. Mei instantly aimed her grappling hook at him, landing a direct hit and yanking him downwards. And we're off to an immediate start, President Mike yelled. Team Tokoyami's horse is taken to the air, and with grappling hooks at the ready, getting the 10 million headband will not be easy. Aizawa, what do you think about your students' strategy? It's effective as things stand. There aren't many students that can get that high up, and those that do will have to worry about Tokoyami's quirk and Hatsume's grappling hooks, Aizawa-sensei said. Not to mention that the other two students on the team are able to get to that height easily and assist as needed. Ah, right. And while we're on that subject, let's look over at Team Midoriya, President Mike said, causing some students in 1A to glance around wildly before remembering that Izuku had a twin brother. Headbands are starting to trade hands with ease. In fact, Team Bakugo's headband was just stolen. Oh, that is great. Bakugo, Tokoyami's biggest threat, was now aiming for Team Monoma. Perfect, which means we'll just have to worry about... The ground started to freeze. Team Todoroki. Tokoyami, go higher, Izuku shouted, then looked at Uraraka and Mei. Team Todoroki incoming. Sure enough, Todoroki, Momo, Iida, and Kaminari came into view around the ice pillars. Kaminari's quirk might interfere with the hover boots, but we'll have to be careful on that front. Be ready to catch if we need to, Izuku said to Uraraka and Mei, glancing up at Tokoyami. Todoroki did as well, then sighed, looking at his team. Any chances of us getting up there? Todoroki said. We'd have to climb up on an ice pillar. Can you form one under us? Momo asked. Mei, you said you have a flamethrower, right? Izuku asked. Mei whipped out her flamethrower so fast and aimed it at Team Todoroki. My flame baby is at the ready. Geez, I thought you were kidding. Where were you even hiding that? Uraraka said, looking over at the approaching team as Mei started up the flames. Izuku mentally went over the rules, then grinned as he charged at Team Todoroki. The rules never said I can't climb up onto another team. What the? Iida exclaimed as Izuku jumped up. Kaminari! Todoroki started, but Izuku was already up there and shoving at Todoroki, a huge grin on his face. Is that even allowed? The rules never said he can't. I'll allow it, Midnight said from the podium. Great. Don't even think about it, Izuku said, glancing at Kaminari, starting to ready his quirk. If you go all out, you hit your team. Kaminari reached out to touch Izuku. Izuku was quick to grab Todoroki's left arm and yank downwards, causing two things to happen. One, Kaminari was reaching forward and was quick to stop his hand to prevent touching his teammate. Two, Todoroki's arm lit on fire, both as a warning to Kaminari and a way to get Izuku to let go. The fire quickly went out as Izuku grabbed a random headband from the team and jumped off, using Iida's shoulders to boost himself up with his quirk, and launched himself up towards Tokoyami. "Tokoyami, grab this!" Izuku said, handing off the headband as he soared past. Tokoyami barely managed to grab it as Izuku plummeted back towards the ground. "Okay, just have to time this carefully." Izuku turned in the air and activated his quirk, maneuvering in a way to lessen the impact as much as possible, rolling a little until he was back on his hands and feet, launching himself back at Team Todoroki. Team Tokoyami's Midoriya hands over the headbands without even touching the ground. "Aizawa, any comments about your student?" He came like this. Aizawa-sensei sighed. "Aw, that's a compliment if I've ever heard one. Remember that we have 5 minutes left, folks, and the 10 million headband still seems out of reach of any other team." "It won't stay that way," Todoroki said, shooting ice towards Tokoyami. Mei aimed the flamethrower at the ice, but it was growing too fast. "Uraraka, Mei, ready to catch if needed with 5 minutes. We just need to keep him in the air," Izuku said, then darted up the ice pillar, Team Todoroki starting to go up as well. Momo must have made ice shoes for them. Clever, since I'll just slide off, which means Izuku readied up 30% of his quirk and stomped as hard as he could, causing the entire structure to crumble above, stopping it from getting closer to Tokoyami. But ice had already arrived at the hover boots, so he was starting to fall. "Well, shit!" Izuku launched himself off an ice piece towards Tokoyami as a few other teams went towards him. Uraraka and Mei also rushing forward to catch him before he could reach the ground. Izuku slammed into Tokoyami, pushing him off an ice chunk to fall towards Uraraka, keeping himself firmly below Tokoyami. "That headband is ours!" Bakugo yelled, his team rushing forward. Doing all right, Tokoyami, Dark Shadow?" Izuku asked as the two landed. "We're doing well," Tokoyami said. "Hardly any fighting up in the air." "No chance to show off our skills," Dark Shadow said, almost seeming to pout. "We can do that with ease next round," Tokoyami said, as Uraraka quickly touched Tokoyami, bringing him back up into the air. Both Team Todoroki and Team Bakugo came upon them. "Mei, Uraraka, you deal with Team Todoroki," Izuku said, using his quirk to boost himself off the ground at Bakugo, headbutting the explosive boy in the stomach and causing him to stumble back, his team scrambling to catch him as Izuku reached for his headband. "Oh, no you don't," Bakugo hissed, grabbing Izuku's wrist and letting off a small explosion. It hurt. He'd have to visit Recovery Girl between rounds. Izuku, instead of seeming disappointed though, grinned. "I knew you'd do that," Izuku said, yanking Bakugo's arm forward and delivering a particular hit that Bakugo recognized. "Fall back!" Bakugo yelled at his team, shoving Izuku away from him. Izuku let himself be pushed away, using Kirishima's shoulders to propel himself towards Team Todoroki, slamming into Todoroki as he looked at his teammates. We still have the 10 million headband," Mei said. "Perfect." Tokoyami was higher up now. It would be hard to reach him, which meant victory was pretty much assured. "Don't let your guard down yet. We still have about 3 minutes." Izuku ignored Team Todoroki's headband, instead pushing away from the team and looking around. Hitoshi's team was sneaking around and grabbing headbands. He was likely to get to the next round. Team Bakugo and Todoroki were also doing well, not to mention his own team. I think the top 4 teams are all set at this point. Bakugo suddenly launched himself at Team Todoroki, causing a fight between those two teams. The big ones are out of the way. Izuku walked back over to Uraraka and Mei. "Mei, keep that grappling hook ready in case Bakugo tries something." "Uraraka, focus on keeping Tokoyami up," Izuku said. "I'll work on anyone else working on getting at our team." "Roger, roger, 10 mil, Mei said, handing him the flamethrower. "You want this?" "Thanks, Mei," Izuku said, looking around, eyes settling on Team Mineta. He thought for a second, then grinned, aiming the flamethrower at them as they got closer. Sue starting to jump up towards Tokoyami. "Want to stop her, Mei?" Mei cackled, aiming her grappling hook and taking Sue out of the air as Izuku set off the flamethrower towards the team, causing Sue to jump back to her team and them fleeing. 2 minutes remaining! 2 minutes. Bakugo let out a scream and started to launch himself towards Tokoyami, Mei shooting out her grappling hook, but a well-placed blast stopped it. Izuku immediately jumped into the air, slamming into Bakugo from below as he grabbed onto him, placing him between Bakugo and Tokoyami in the air. "You aren't getting that headband, Bakugo," Izuku said, raising his fist and hitting Bakugo downwards, his team barely managing to catch him. Izuku landed on the ground and wildly looked around. Team Todoroki was gearing up a grappling hook of their own. Well, good idea, but not working here. "Mei, intercept that grappling hook. I'll deal with Bakugo," Izuku said. "On it," Mei said. shooting out her grappling hook and getting tangled in Team Todoroki's. Izuku left Mei to her cackling about her babies as she turned to Team Bakugo, his quirk lighting up on his skin as he leaped at them. Don't even give them a chance to get close to Tokoyami again. Damn it, Deku! Bakugo roared as Izuku landed a punch on him, standing on Kirishima's shoulder. Whoa, is this seriously your strategy? Kirishima said, wobbling a little bit. The whole team was. If it works, Izuku said, shoving at Bakugo and kicking at Kirishima to knock him off balance. Ashido and Sero were strong, but Kirishima was the strongest, so carrying Bakugo and Izuku would be difficult for those two. Meaning, hey, Ashido said, we're gonna hold it together, Bakugo yelled. 1 minute! Damn it, we don't have time for this! Bakugo hissed, setting off an explosion in Izuku's face, blinding him for a few seconds. Izuku darted his head to the side and headbutted Bakugo in the nose. A small crack heard as Bakugo screamed, hands going to his nose as it started to bleed. What the fuck, Deku? Bakugo yelled. Watch your language. We're on live television, Izuku said, sliding his leg slightly and hooking onto Kirishima's shoulders, falling backwards, activating his quirk slightly in order to get his hands on the ground, dragging Kirishima down and launching him towards Team Todoroki, causing him to knock into Iida. 30 seconds! Ashido and Sero struggled to keep Bakugo up as Kirishima ran back. Team Todoroki off balance due to the human rock slamming into them, but regaining balance and starting to rush at Team Bakugo. You want to go, Icy Hot? Bakugo yelled. Bring it! I wonder how many points Hitoshi has. Izuku looked over. A bunch of headbands seemed to be around Hitoshi's neck. He's making it, and if I'm right, just him and Mei will be in the finals, and not in the hero course. If he makes it to into the second round of the third round, he's pretty much guaranteed. 10. Izuku looked around at everyone, then up at Tokoyami. Yep, headbands securely in place, and the boy's quirk giving him a thumbs up. So then he then looked at Uraraka and Mei. 9. Prepare to catch. Almost over, Izuku said, receiving a nod from his teammates. 8. How's your quirk holding up, Uraraka? Izuku asked. 7. Okay, I'm glad we have a break between rounds, though, Uraraka said. 6. Lunch should help, too, Uraraka added. 5. I can make a baby to help me counteract after all of this, Mei added. 4. Hey, Mei, I have a quick question about next round. I'm just curious about your plans, Izuku said. 3. My plans? Mei asked. 2. Yeah, I'll explain later, Izuku said. 1 and 0. Points will be now calculated. Damn it! Uraraka quickly got Tokoyami down, and Izuku glanced at the headbands. There was the 10 million, plus the one stolen earlier. Izuku was quick to high-five his teammates. We stayed in first the whole time. Yes, Uraraka said. The light shines upon us, Tokoyami said. My babies are the best, aren't they? They said. Results are in first place, and staying there the whole time, we have Team Tokoyami by an absolute landslide. Yes, Uraraka said. After then is Team Todoroki. Izuku looked over to see that Todoroki was staring over at them. After a second, he realized that Todoroki was staring right at him. Team Bakugo is in third place. Ah! Bakugo yelled, his teammates calming him down. And in fourth place, and the last team moving onto the final round, we have Team Midoriya. Your twin moved on to hold on, I need to take a sip of water. Where was I? Your twin moved on too. Think you two will face off? Uraraka asked. We'll see. Hey, speaking of, hey, Mei, while we go grab food, Izuku asked. Sure, 10 million, Mei said, and they all began to walk away. So, whoever not in the hero course places highest in the third round gets offered a spot in the hero course, Izuku said. Wait, really? Dark Shadow asked. Izuku nodded. My twin brothers and Gen Ed, and... Ah, gotcha, Mei said. Don't worry, I'm not making it past the first part of the third round. Gotcha, thank you, Izuku said. Of course. On one condition, Mei said. You name it, Izuku said. Let me make your support gear, Mei said. Deal. I was hoping you would anyway, Izuku said. Perfect. After the sports festival, when the school starts up again, before school, meet me at the sports support labs to go over plans, Mei said, reaching her hand out to shake Izuku's. Izuku shook her hand. Pleasure doing business with you. Why does it feel like you just sold your soul? Uraraka asked. What a mad banquet of darkness, Tokoyami said. Midoriya. Izuku turned his head to see. Hey, Donkey, want to help me with something? Donkey jolted slightly, then turned to look at his classmate. Mineta, what's up? Denki asked. So I have a great idea, Mineta said. Let's convince the girls to wear cheer uniforms. Oh, that would be amazing. Wait, what do you have in mind? Denki asked, pulling out his phone and recording. Hitoshi's going to replace someone. If Mineta's caught doing something bad and gets kicked out, maybe it'll be easier to transfer him in. We'll tell Momo that Aizawa-sensei said that they need to wear the school spirit in the in-between time. Do a hot dance for the cameras, Mineta said. She'll make uniforms for them to wear, and we'll get to see it all. Lying to the class rep, and that sounded like sexual harassment. Either way, something Aizawa-sensei might want to know about. I don't think that's a good idea. What if she just asks Aizawa-sensei about it? Denki asked. She won't. I'm pretty sure she has some kind of anxiety and would just go along with no questions asked. If you're too chicken, you don't have to agree. But if you're a real man, then let's go find them, Mineta said, then walked off. Denki didn't move with him, instead turning off the recording. Now, is he on lunch break or still in the announcer's booth? Hey, Aizawa-sensei? Aizawa turned and looked at Kaminari. Please tell me you aren't dropping out of the next round. Please tell me you aren't dropping out of the next round, too. We just finished up the bracket for this round. That's not it, Kaminari said, then carefully handed his phone. Mineta was being, creepy, I guess. Aizawa raised an eyebrow, but looked at the phone. A video was pulled out. He hesitantly pressed play and listened to the audio. Kaminari took a step back, and Aizawa realized he activated his quirk. Aizawa took a deep breath and handed the phone back to Kaminari. Thank you for bringing this to me, Kaminari, Aizawa said. You go eat lunch. I'll take care of it. Oh, thank you, Aizawa-sensei, Kaminari said, then left for lunch. Aizawa, meanwhile, went to go find a certain student that was not staying for the rest of the day. Izuku was fuming. He wasn't mad at Todoroki. Did he want to laugh at his question about him being All Might's secret love child? Yes, he did. His reasoning was even worse. He knew that Hitoshi was adopted, but got it in his head that was a cover story. Izuku was adopted to keep him safe from All Might's enemies. He even suggested that Izuku's dad was actually his stepfather, and perhaps it was just kept from him. But he couldn't see it. But he couldn't see the truth with his own quirk being so similar to All Might's. Of course it was similar. It was the same damn quirk. Izuku made sure not to mutter during that conversation. No, Izuku was mad at Endeavor. Now, he wasn't exactly Endeavor's biggest fan, not by a long shot, but the number 2 hero, both in rank and personality apparently, to do that to his own child, buying his own wife, All Might, all just to surpass All Might. As if he's going to surpass All Might. All Might is great, as great as he is. Strength isn't everything. All Might is the number 1 hero because he makes people feel safe. When people see him, they know that they're going to be safe. If anything, no one should ever feel safe around Endeavor because he's a flaming piece of Izuku. Izuku turned to see his brother. Hitoshi, Izuku said, sighing and darting forward, giving his brother a big hug. Is everything all right? Hitoshi asked, carefully giving his brother a hug back. I want to stab the number 2 hero, Izuku said. Can't tell you why. Got it. I'll be your alibi, Hitoshi said. But, they released the matchup for the first round and into the full bracket. They did? Izuku asked. Mei said she's not going past the first round, by the way. So as long as you get past round 1, we're fighting each other round 1. Izuku's eyes widened as he pulled back. Oh. Yeah, oh, Hitoshi said, showing Izuku a picture on his phone of the bracket. I'll go against Hitoshi, then whoever wins between Todoroki and Sero if I pass, so Todoroki. If I lose to Hitoshi in the first round, it guarantees he gets into the hero course, but if I move on, I'd have to rank higher than Iida, and will be slated to fight in the third round if Shiozaki or Kaminari doesn't beat him. I want to fight Todoroki, but I want Hitoshi in our class. You aren't going to throw the match against me, and I don't think I'll win against you. But, Izuku started. No buts, Hitoshi said, lightly putting his fist to Izuku's chest. I won't go down easy, and I sure as hell will leave bruises on you, but you're the only person in that lineup that knows what my quirk is. You're too smart to fall into my quirk, and you have techniques that I can't counter. Techniques that no one can counter. Not to mention your quirk you can use now. You'll win our match, but if you don't get high enough for me to get to the hero course, I'm kicking your ass myself. Izuku put his fist to Hitoshi's chest. I'll beat some sense into Todoroki, then Iida, Kaminari, Shiozaki, whoever I end up fighting, I'm making it to the finale. Good, Hitoshi said. I'll be rooting for you. Now, let's go grab our food refuel for us being the first fight. Oh my All Might, we're fighting first? Midoriya, can we talk? Sure, Izuku said, perking up from the prep room chair. I heard you dropped out of the third round. How come? I don't remember anything until halfway through the second round, Ojiro said, carefully sitting in one of the other chairs. 1 second I was turning and saying hi, the next I was part of a team in the second round. Izuku nodded. Yeah, I know. You know? Ojiro asked. Yeah, don't tell anyone, but that's my brother's quirk. Pretty cool, isn't it? Izuku asked. It's like sinking into a cloud. Everything goes nice as you hand over the controls for a few minutes. I forgot that he's your twin brother, Ojiro said. How did your parents end up with you two? One with a heroic quirk and the other with a... Finish that sentence and you'll get a one-way ticket to Recovery Girl. Third round be damned, Izuku said. Huh? Ojiro asked. That's my brother. I don't want you even thinking about finishing that thought, Izuku said, standing up and glaring at Ojiro. The sports festival is the best way for a Gen Ed student, for my brother, to make it into the hero course. Today I'm giving everything hell out there in this round so he can get in. And guess what? I don't care who he replaces to get into our class. Even if that means I'm reporting to our expulsion-happy teacher, who I'm certain would have some words about the ones that were about to come out of your mouth just now. Ojiro turned pale, then tried to brush it off. He expelled his entire class last year, Izuku said. No way, Ojiro started. Get out, I need to prepare for my match against my brother, Izuku said. Ojiro hesitated, but quickly left the room as Izuku took a deep breath. I just have to get past Todoroki and Iida if he gets another round. It gets down to me and Iida. Whoever ranks higher determines if Mei or Hitoshi gets offered the spot. And I refuse to let Hitoshi down on this. Izuku Midoriya, please make your way to hallway A. Izuku jolted, then took a deep breath as he stood up and walked and making his way to the hallway leading to the stage. Now this round has all the teachers excited to know who will win, and I'll tell you why. As you may have noticed, we have a set of twins in their first year. Please welcome to the stage, placing first in each round so far, his winning streak going all the way back to the entrance exam and looking to keep it up. Class 1A's Izuku Midoriya. The crowd went wild as Izuku stepped up onto the stage, pushing everything out and getting ready for the fight. No knives, no support gear, just fists and quirks. I can't think too much and mutter or he'll get me in his quirk. I love my brother, but I'm beating him. From Gen Ed's 1C, ready to fight and take his brother down a notch, we have Hitoshi Midoriya. Hitoshi stepped up to the stage, and Izuku gave him a grin, making a zipping motion. We'll see if you can keep that up, Hitoshi said. Now, as both of them are Midoriya, that makes this a little confusing, huh? So we'll be using the nicknames we use for them in the teacher's lounge instead of using full first and last names. So, we have green and purple. Take a guess which is why. Hey, Aizawa, my student versus your student. Do you have any words of encouragement? They'll both do their best. It's just a question of whose best will be enough to win, Aizawa-sensei said. What encouraging words! Now, let's get the first fight out of round 3 started, President Mike yelled. No lethal force. You win by knocking your opponent out of bounds or making them unable to fight, Midnight said. Pin for 10 seconds, and the opponent is out. Begin. Immediately, Hitoshi rushed at Izuku, throwing a punch at Izuku's stomach. Izuku took the punch and immediately dealt one back at his brother's side, and from there, the two were trading punches, starting to dodge as well. Those two are not holding back. Green and purple are going to be covered with bruises by the end of this, but that doesn't stop them. Of course it doesn't. You really think you can win? Hitoshi asked, and Izuku bit his lip, knowing damn well what the consequences of answering would be. Come on, that's bullshit. Izuku just aimed the next punch at Hitoshi's face, causing him to lean back so far that he ended up doing a backflip away. How extra. And rushing back in was a jab. That classmate of yours was pretty dumb for backing out, don't you think? Hitoshi asked, as Izuku did a sweeping kick, trying to knock Hitoshi to the ground, but Hitoshi dodged, not dodging in the next gut hit that sent him back a little. Izuku just rolled his eyes at the question. Of course it was stupid. You shouldn't just drop out because you think it's unfair you got further. If anything, you should have seen how awesome my brother's quirk is. A familiar feeling crept over Izuku. Oh shit, I was muttering. Hitoshi grinned. Knew I would get you in a mutter storm, Hitoshi said. Walk out of bounds. Green is moving towards the edge of the stage. Is this where his winning streak ends? Okay, there has to be some kind of way for me to break out of Hitoshi's mind control. There has to be some way. I've been thinking for years now and still haven't managed to come on. What's that? There were 8 sets of ghostly eyes staring at Izuku from the hallway entrance. 8 shadowy figures looking at him. That one looks familiar. Before Izuku could analyze them, before he could exit the bounds, his quirk surged up in his arm. Keep it low grade, barely not shattering his fingers. Those will hurt later, but is it enough? And snapping him out of it. Green has stopped? Izuku turned around and stared at his brother, who was staring right back. How in the hell? Hitoshi started. Izuku quickly ran over and bomb rushed his brother, shoving him to get him backwards towards the edge. Hitoshi started to hit, but Izuku plowed him right to the edge of bounds. How did you figure out? Hitoshi started. Izuku reared his fist back and slugged Hitoshi in the stomach, causing him to stumble back and right out of bounds. And round 1, fight 1 is over with Izuku Midoriya. Moving on, Hitoshi Midoriya left in the dust. Damn it, Hitoshi said. You'd better win your next few matches, Izuku. You know I will, Izuku said, grabbing Hitoshi's hand and dragging him out of the arena. Now what the fuck happened? Hitoshi asked. You've never been able to break out of my quirk before. I have no idea, Hitoshi hissed. I saw these 8 shadowy figures, and all of a sudden, my quirk just surged through me. It was all I could do to stop my bones from breaking, but the pain from it snapped me out of your quirk. Shadowy figures. Wait, 8? Hitoshi said. Your quirk? What about it? Izuku asked, blinking. 8 shadowy figures. How does the number 8 relate to your quirk? Hitoshi asked. Izuku thought for a few seconds, then smacked his forehead. You think they were... Probably. You'll have to tell the dumbass about this, Hitoshi said. Yeah, I'll see if I can talk to him sometime this weekend. Next up is Todoroki versus Sero, then Kaminari versus Shiozaki, and I don't want to miss either, Izuku said. You'll be fighting that powerhouse next round unless you think Sero stands a chance, Hitoshi asked. No offense to Sero. If he was against pretty much anyone else, he'd stand some semblance of a chance, Izuku said. He's getting his ass handed to him against a pissed-off Todoroki. Ah, Hitoshi said, nodding and clearly deciding not to ask why he was pissed. And for Kaminari versus Shiozaki, she's one of the only 2 1B students in the final round, Izuku said. I doubt you want to miss it either. How so? Hitoshi asked, raising an eyebrow. You don't want to cheer Kaminari on? Izuku asked. Fair enough, Hitoshi said as they reached the 1A stands. Hey, Midoriyas! Speaking of Kaminari, he was waving at them, more specifically Hitoshi. Awesome fight, Hitoshi. You sitting with us? Kaminari asked. Immediately, everyone looked over, specifically at the name drop. We're allowed to sit anywhere, so sure, Hitoshi said, plopping down next to Kaminari. Izuku next to Hitoshi as he watched Todoroki and Sero walk onto the field. Sorry you ended up losing the first round. Still a chance of you making it into the hero course? Kaminari asked. Yeah, there is. I have to be the highest ranking non-hero course student, Hitoshi said. So if Hatsumate doesn't get further, you two both get the chance? Kaminari asked. Not exactly, Hitoshi said. It depends on who gets further, Iida or Izuku. Wait, really? Iida asked, looking over. Yeah, Hitoshi said, looking at him. Honorary ranking or something like that. Ah, I see, Hitoshi said. Iida said. The air got icy, and suddenly all of them were stopped by a glacier. Midoriya, aren't you fighting him next? Uraraka asked as President Mike called Todoroki's win. Yep, Izuku said. My condolences, but I don't think you're getting into the hero course, Purple Midoriya, Iida said. Didn't I tell you to call me Hitoshi? Hitoshi said. And Izuku can win against him, hands down. Everyone gave him an odd look. I mean, it's normal to be confident in your brother, but... Ashido started. I'll win, Izuku said. You can't be serious, Iida said. Izuku looked at him, then looked at the field. Kaminari, your match against Shiozaki is next. It'll take a bit to clear the ice, but you'll want to go prepare for that. Right, Kaminari said, then rushed away. Midoriya, it is normal to be confident in your abilities, Iida started. Are you going to use that weird quirk you used when we were 10? Everyone's head whipped to stare at Bakugo, Izuku included, who just gave a sharp nod. Not a quirk, but yep, Izuku said. Bakugo blinked, then looked at the field. Use it fast enough, and Icy Hot won't stand a chance. Is anyone going to tell us what you're talking about? Uraraka asked. You'll see, Bakugo said. You'll see. Damn it, Denki muttered as he sulked back up to the stands. Hitoshi saw me go stupid like a complete loser. No way he wants to date me now. If he'd even want to still be my friend. I'm such an idiot. Are you alright? Denki jolted slightly, looking up to see... Oh, hi Hitoshi. Denki said, noting that he was carrying popcorn. Must have stepped out for popcorn. I'm fine. You sure? Hitoshi asked, raising an eyebrow. You short-circuited your brain. Glad to see you're alright after that. But you don't have to be, you know. I'm fine, really. Guess we get to sit and watch the rest together, huh? Denki asked. Yeah, Hitoshi said, then held the popcorn out towards him. Want some? Oh, yeah, sure, thanks, Denki said, grabbing a handful. Next is Iida versus Hatsume, huh? What if she moves on? She won't. Izuku said he talked to her, and she said she doesn't want to move past this round, Hitoshi said, as they walked to the stands together. And he really can defeat Todoroki? Denki asked. Without a doubt. He hasn't even shown his full hand yet. He's gonna show the ace up his sleeve and kick Todoroki's ass, Hitoshi said, eating some popcorn. I'll believe it when I see it, Denki said. Hitoshi reached over and pat Denki's shoulder, then let his hand fall and grabbed Denki's hand and pulled him forward. Let's go to the stands. Iida versus Hatsume. Don't want to miss it. Oh, Denki's face was definitely a bright red. Never let it be said that Momo isn't smart. She's incredibly intelligent, but her confidence could use some work. She was working on it, and in the past month-ish of school, she'd like to think she'd come a long way. Being the class rep had helped for sure. To think that Izuku had voted for her when they'd barely known each other, enough to let go of that position and outright say she deserved it. That helped. So did being his friend and hearing him gush about quirks, even her own. It was, you have the coolest quirk. You think so? Momo asked. Of course, you can create literally anything, Izuku said. It takes so much time and energy to make it amazing, and you have put 110% in to make it cool. So cool. Momo blushed as she scratched the back of her neck. It's nothing. It's not nothing, Izuku said. If we were to swap quirks, I would never be able to recreate the things you've made with the efficiency you do. You're so cool. Truly worthy of being the class rep, Todoroki said, taking a bite of his soba. See, Izuku said, it's not just your quirk, but the effort you put into it, and your brain working on what's going on around you in order to figure out what to do next. Like at the battle trials. Izuku went into a mumble rant, and Momo found herself holding back happy tears and smiling. So yes, she still had work to do on her confidence, but she could get there with her friends by her side. This is a long chapter. There's a lot of yelling, so I'm having to take lots of water breaks. Where was I? And thinking about Izuku during the cavalry battle, she noticed that he was careful about having Bakugo and Tokoyami near each other, even having one person designated at all times into keeping Bakugo away, but not specifically Todoroki, who had ranked higher than Bakugo in everything so far, which meant there had to be a reason. It made sense when giving it a little thought. Though explosions against Dark Shadow, light must be the quirk's weakness. It wasn't necessary to go after Todoroki when he refused to use his fire and leave one person to do all the other defense. So when it came to her battle with Tokoyami, she pulled out a shield with LED lights on it, shining and blinding the shadow, a flashlight also giving her advantage. Winning here meant going against Ashido, then whoever won between Kirishima and Bakugo. She had a feeling it would be Bakugo, but she was already thinking of a strategy against him. But she might run it by Izuku to see if she agrees. Izuku found himself smiling as Momo managed to push Tokoyami out of bounds and win. Dark Shadow kept at bay by the light she kept producing. Her quirk is just too cool. Not to mention her brain. She even noticed his weakness when no one else in the class had a clue. So cool. Izuku slapped a hand over Izuku's mouth. Careful, or people are going to think you have a crush on her, you fanboy. Izuku hunched his shoulders sheepishly as the match was called. Kirishima and Tetsu were called next. I'm getting past this round. I will get past this round. You're that boy. Izuku stopped his march towards the stage and turned to see Endeavor. I can't kill the number 2 hero. Yes, he made sure to bite his lip at that. Endeavor, Izuku said. Your quirk. It's similar to All Might's, Endeavor said. Izuku scoffed. Everyone keeps saying that. Not every super strength quirk is like All Might's, you know. Just like not all fire quirks are like yours. Whatever, Endeavor said. All you are is a stepping stone in my son's path to becoming the next number 1 hero. He's going to win this fight. You're hardly an opponent. Izuku suddenly surged forward, getting behind Endeavor before he could stop himself. 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 hit. Endeavor hit the ground, eyes wide in shock, as Izuku glared down at him. You're disgusting, Izuku said, venom dripping from his words. Are you seriously the number 2 hero with this kind of attitude towards his children? Towards your own children? There's always someone stronger than you, All Might, and I guess me as well, Izuku said, and took a deep breath, then looked at the nearest camera. Am I in trouble for that? The speaker made a small noise for a second before Nezu's voice started. Not at all. In fact, Endeavor isn't allowed back here in the first place, so my apologies for the inconvenience. I'll send Snipe to collect him. When will he be able to move? In a minute. His quirk, on the other hand, I wouldn't suggest patrolling for at least the next 24 hours, Izuku said, stepping away from Endeavor. Still glaring at him. You're so focused on your fire quirk that it might get you killed when you can't use it after all. He turned and took a step away. Am I clear to go to my match? Of course. I wish you the best of luck, Nezu said, and Izuku, without another word, continued to walk to the stage. I have to win this. Give it up for Class 1A's Izuku Midoriya! Izuku pushed everything from the crowd away, focusing solely on the other side of the stage. Placing second each round so far, we have Class 1A's Shoto Todoroki! Todoroki glared from across the stage. These two have been fighting for first and second this entire festival, but one of them won't be making the top four, President Mike said. Both these classmates have something to prove today, and by God are they going to give it their all and make this a fight to remember. I won't lose, Todoroki said. Funny, I was going to say the same thing. May the best fighter win, Izuku said. Begin! Midnight yelled. Instantly, a wave of ice launched towards Izuku. Is he seriously going for the same attack that took out Zero? Izuku wondered, dodging out of the way, then noticing something similar. No, that was smaller. Ice and fire. He's expecting me to last longer, so he's doing all he can to not get hypothermia until I'm down. Well, he's in for a rude awakening if he really thinks he can win. Izuku just has to get close to his right arm, then this match is as good as over. Another wave of ice came, and this time Izuku powered up his quirk and sent a shockwave towards the ice, shattering it before it even reached him. 30% should do for all of this. I don't need to break any bones. I think Recovery Girl would actually hate me. Izuku rushed at Todoroki, dodging another ice blast. Now, Izuku could end this here, but he had something to prove to his classmate first. Izuku landed a punch to Todoroki's stomach, noting the ice was spreading. You're freezing. Not even gonna use your quirk to warm yourself up? Izuku asked, landing another hit. I refuse to use his fire. Todoroki said, Are you seriously that stupid? Are you gonna seriously only use half your quirk when the rest of us are giving it our all? Izuku asked, throwing another punch to Todoroki's stomach. What's gonna be your excuse when your refusal gets civilians killed someday? Todoroki started, but Izuku was done with this, yanking towards Todoroki's right arm downwards and hitting fast once, twice, 3 times with his left arm, at the same time as hitting Todoroki's right leg once, twice, 3 times. The ice stopped, and Izuku jumped back, powering up his quirk and doing a spin kick, knocking all the ice off the stage, creating a small dust cloud. Don't worry about visibility, lessening, folks. We have fans specifically for this purpose to blow away the dust. We are regaining a visual now. Izuku stood tall, staring at Todoroki, who had taken a knee and was panting, glaring as he whipped out his right arm to shoot out more ice. Or, at least, tried. None of those things happened. Todoroki's angry expression turned to shock as he looked at his arm, but Izuku didn't make a move. So, still not going to use your fire? Izuku asked. What did you do to me? Todoroki asked, reaching over with his left arm to lift up his right, then letting go, but it just flopped back down. What the hell did you do? Todoroki seems to be experiencing some difficulty with his quirk and arm. I was wondering when we'd get to see this today. What? Todoroki asked, looking up at the booth. Is Aizawa-sensei using his? That was all me, Izuku said. Todoroki whipped to stare at him as Izuku lifted his head high. You'll be able to move your arm and leg again soon, but you've got a full day before you can use your ice again, Izuku said, taking a step forward. I've shown my trump card, so how about you show yours? I thought your quirk was a strength type, Todoroki said. It is, but that's not all I've got up my sleeve, Izuku said. Todoroki, are you still able to fight? Oh, he can. It's just the question of if he's choosing to or not, Izuku said, staying right where he was standing. So, are you going to yield, or are you going to use your fire to try and stop me? I refuse to use his fire, his quirk, Todoroki started, and Izuku was mad. It's yours, Izuku yelled out. Your quirk, not his! Todoroki's eyes went wide at that, and suddenly his left side lit up. It was amazing. What the hell? Why isn't he using his ice? Sarah asked. He didn't hesitate against me. I was wondering when Dick could pull that back out of his ass, Bakugo said, and everyone whipped their heads to stare at him. What? Iida asked, eyes wide. What was he talking about? That damn quirk, Bakugo said. Still not a quirk, Hitoshi said, and everyone looked at him. Like hell that's not a quirk, Bakugo said. It's not, Hitoshi said. I can do that too. Well, you're twins, of course. So of course, Ashido started. I'm adopted, Hitoshi said, and anyone can do that if they put the effort into it and learn. Too bad there's no way to counteract it. Hitoshi turned his head and looked right at Iida, who almost looked pale. Good luck, Iida. If you win your next match, you're up against that next round. Iida visibly gulped. I'd better go prepare. With that, he speed-walked away. Hitoshi snorted, then turned back to the field as it lit up in flames. Shoto suddenly could move his arm and leg again. The numbness left, and he could stand. No ice, only his fire. As a big smile crept onto his face as he stared at Midoriya, who was grinning. Amazing, Midoriya muttered, getting in a stance, ready to jump at Shoto as his skin lit up with his own quirk. Your fire is so amazing, Todoroki. Shoto found himself smiling when he got ready to lunge forward. Call me Shoto, Shoto said, then leaped at Midoriya. Then call me Izuku, Izuku said, leaping forward as well. A few seconds later, Shoto found himself slamming against the arena wall. He'd lost, but you know what? He was fine with that. Endeavor wouldn't even matter. Was he even watching? For the first time in his life, he didn't actually care. The whole world could have fallen apart. But the only thing that mattered right now was the person that just knocked him out of the tournament. You'd better win this thing, Izuku. Shoto's eyes slipped closed at that thought. And the winner is Izuku Midoriya! As soon as that was announced, Izuku walked over to where Todoroki, Shoto, was laying on the ground after creating a small crater in the wall. I hope I didn't break anything. He's going to Recovery Girl anyway, but still. Midnight and Cementos walked over as well. A few medbots already loading Shoto up to take him to the infirmary. Is he alright? Izuku asked. He'll be fine. Go get ready to watch the next round. I have to do a little bit of cleanup, but it's going to start soon, Cementos said. Unless you need to see Recovery Girl. Too. I'm good, thanks. I'll visit him in the infirmary later, Izuku said, then walked away into the stands. What the hell was that? Izuku winced slightly as he sat down next to Hitoshi. Your twin said that wasn't a quirk, but I don't get it, Ojiro said, glancing at Hitoshi, but looking at Izuku quickly. You stopped his quirk. It's a technique I learned when I was young. Martial arts, pretty much, Izuku said. I'm training in martial arts, and that is not, Ojiro said. Izuku looked at him, and that shut him right up. It's not a standard technique, or a real martial arts form. I figured it out and taught myself to do it. You invented a martial arts technique? Uraraka answered, yes, no, and no. I found it on an old show and figured out how to do it in real life, Izuku said. Took a long time to get the calculations right and figure out how to strike, particularly in the nervous system. Hey, Iida's already won. I guess I'll have to take him down next round. Everyone's heads whipped towards the stage, where, sure enough, Iida had decided he didn't want a long battle and just finished it quickly. Next is Momo versus Ashido, then Bakugo versus Kirishima, Izuku muttered. I think Momo's going to win overall. She's skilled, while Ashido is also skilled. She's more likely to leave an opening without realizing it, while Momo is able to cover any opening. It's just a matter of how Momo goes about counteracting Ashido's acid. A few metals are able to counteract acid, or at least slow down the effect, which would depend on if Momo knows outright, or was able to do some research prior to the match. Perhaps before the sports festival, just in case. Hitoshi put his hand over Izuku's mouth. Shut up or watch the match instead of theorizing who's gonna win. Right, Izuku said, voice muffled through Hitoshi's hand as he watched Momo pull out marbles and scatter them across the field. I need some water. Ashido was already sliding around on her acid. Is that a technique designated to make her slide more than she intends to, thus potentially throwing her off balance and giving Momo an opening? Ashido easily avoided the marbles' problem as her acid dissolved them, letting her slide by and throw some acid at Momo. Izuku put his hand over his mouth, just in case. The acid isn't affecting Momo, but it's affecting the marbles. Ashido is able to control how strong the acid is, and is making sure not to injure her opponent. I wish I had my notebook to write about all of this, and Momo must be judging the strengths of Ashido's acid and making a strategy in order to counteract that. Or seeing if her acid weakens over time, throwing more marbles. They're dissolving slower so that Sorry, my mom tried to come in. Where was I? Momo must be judging the strengths of Ashido's quirk and making a strategy in order to counteract that. Or seeing if her acid weakens over time, throwing more marbles, they're dissolving slower, so that proves the theory of her acid either getting weaker or unable to strengthen her acid in a short amount of time, which would give Momo the opportunity to... Momo pulled out a metal bat and started to swing at Ashido, who, of course, backed away, throwing acid at the bat without it dissolving as fast. I wonder what the bat is made out of. Maybe she was testing what kind of materials make the acid slow down with the marbles, and once Ashido realized that the bat was still effective, she backed away to avoiding the swings, not paying attention to exactly where on the field she was. And Mina Ashido is out of bounds. Momo Yayurozu moves to the semifinals and will be fighting whoever wins our next match. Momo seemed to say something to Ashido as the two walked off the field. Now, the explosive boy that's placed in the top 3 each time, looking to score even higher this time around, give it up for 1A's Katsuki Bakugo, and the boy that's looking to be unbreakable, break his opponent's stride, give it up for 1A's Eijiro Kirishima. The two entered the field, but Izuku wasn't paying attention to that. Instead, he turned as Momo and Ashido walked into the seating area and giving a big smile. "That was awesome, guys," Izuku said. Thanks. Top 8 isn't so bad," Ashido said, sitting down. "Thank you. Izuku, are you ready for your fight with Iida next?" Momo asked, sitting in the row behind him. "Yep, and you're going to win against whoever wins this match?" Izuku asked. Momo took a deep breath, some doubt creeping onto her face, but she quickly nodded. "Actually, I already have a few strategies. Would you mind hearing them out?" "Sure," Izuku said, getting up and sitting next to her. "Wow, abandoned by my twin," Hitoshi said, then pat poor Kaminari on the shoulder. That boy looked so close to bursting into flames, despite having an electricity quirk. "At least you won't abandon me, Denki." "Nope, never," Denki squeaked out. "So I was thinking," Momo started, and Izuku gave her his full attention. "Please tell me I'm not too late to watch this match." Shoto quickly walked through the stands. A few matches had already happened since his fight, and someone had said something about the semifinals starting soon, and he really wanted to watch Mido Izuku in his match. Shoto quickly got to 1A seating, just as 1A's Izuku Midoriya! Shoto almost let out a sigh of relief as he stood at the back watching Izuku walk onto the field, a few of his classmates on the edge of their seats as they watched the upcoming match. Will his opponent stop him in his tracks? Welcome, 1A's Kenya Iida! Iida walked onto the stage, almost looking nervous as he stared at Izuku, who gave him a grin. "Are you nervous?" Izuku asked. "Good, you should be nervous, because I will not lose this. This is it. This match determines everything. It doesn't matter if I get first or second place, as long as I get past Iida. As long as Hitoshi gets into the hero course." "Begin!" All Might Midnight yelled. Suddenly, Izuku activated his quirk and leapt at Iida, who used his quirk to get out of the way. Izuku was expecting this, of course, and pivoted on the ground and ran after Iida, essentially chasing him around the ring. "This has turned into a game of tag, folks, and it looks like Midoriya is it." 30% wasn't quite cutting it. Iida was still staying ahead of him, so it looked like Izuku needed to go faster. He kicked it up to 35%, ignoring the slight ache in his bones as he tackled Iida to the ground, the larger boy falling on his face as he tried to shove Izuku away. But Izuku refused to lose this fight, grabbing the boy's arms and quickly holding them behind his back with one hand, the other pinning his head down. "Do you yield?" Izuku asked. "Never," Iida said. "One," Midnight yelled. Iida squirmed and tried to get his feet under him, but Izuku didn't let him, lodging his knee at the base of his spine and pressing down hard. "Two," Midnight said. "I won't lose," Iida said, trying to get his arm out of Izuku's grip. But with Izuku using his quirk to keep his grip, and his grip strength was no joke in general, either, he didn't get much of a result. "Three," Midnight yelled. "Four," Iida powered up his quirk in his legs and kicked downwards, getting his legs slightly off the ground, but Izuku powered his quirk up and shoved his knee downward, keeping the boy on the ground enough. "5," Midnight yelled. Iida tried to kick at the ground with his quirk active again, and Izuku repeated the action to keep him down, but this time he let go of Iida's head and pivoted slightly, his knees grinding into Iida's back a little as he smacked the taller boy's leg. "6," Midnight yelled. Izuku brought his other knee up a little and used his leg to pin Iida's legs down. If he couldn't move his legs at all, he couldn't get the leverage to kick. "7," Midnight yelled. "Will Midoriya win via pinning his opponent?" 8," Midnight yelled. I can't lose, Iida said, turning his leg and trying to flip. Izuku kept him right where he wanted him. 9," Midnight yelled. "This is it. One more second. 1 second away from Hitoshi joining the hero course. 1 second away from getting to the finales. 1 second away from everything. Worst case scenario, if he moves, I'm using my chi blocking. He can't struggle if he's paralyzed for a minute. Iida's eyes widened as he gave Izuku a fearful look. What? 10? Midnight yelled. Midoriya wins! Izuku tensed up for a second, barely believing the words. You won, Iida whispered. Izuku carefully got off Iida, not giving him a hand as he looked around the stadium of cheering fans, barely registering President Mike announcing him as the first student moving on to the finals today. Izuku looked around, his eyes landing on the 1A booth. Even from this distance, he could see his brother, Kaminari, giving him a tight side hug, as there were tears in Hitoshi's eyes, and even though Hitoshi was far away, their eyes met, and they were both thinking the same thought. Hitoshi was getting offered a spot in the hero course. Izuku looked at Iida, who looked like he wanted to say something, but instead of saying anything to the boy, he walked off the stage and to the hallway, barely aware of Iida following him, and barely not breaking out into a run as he made his way to the booth. He had to get there. He had to get to his brother. You did it! Congrats, dude! Kaminari said as everyone stared at Izuku. You beat Iida! Izuku looked at Hitoshi, who, with some tears in his eyes, still gave a small nod. Izuku beamed and quickly sat down next to his brother, giving him a tight hug. I did it! Izuku said. Yes, you did. You still have to fight whoever wins between Yaoyorozu and Bakugo, you know. Oh, right, Izuku said, shifting back in his seat, staring at the arena as the two in question made their way onto the stage. In his first round, Bakugo was brutal against Uraraka. In his second round, he'd been brutal to Kirishima too. There would be no exception this time. So Momo would respond in turn. Whoever won this round was fighting Izuku, and while both of them were going to be on the podium, this would determine who would have their own podium at the very least. And she was determined to be standing higher than the explosive boy and make people remember her. His sweat is nitroglycerin. As you can remember, he has certain nerves in his palms that made him able to ignite it. Only in his palms? It would be interesting if they weren't in his elbows, but if they aren't... Izuku grinned at that as he shook his head. Just his palms. If I surround his palms in, say, metal and water, what are the chances of him being able to blow off anything I put on him? Wow, that's genius. He can control the strength of his explosions. If you were to surround his palms in something metal, he'd probably be able to blow them up. Even if I made, say, a tungsten contraption and locked it around his hands? I would love to see you try that, but tungsten can actually be highly flammable. It might hurt both of you if it were to explode. Steel, on the other hand, is the most resistant against explosions, but overall not a strategy I would suggest unless you were desperate. And what do you suggest? Izuku thought for a few seconds. Well, begin! Bakugo immediately lunged for Momo, who quickly created a steel shield and blocked the explosion. The steel held as Momo made a steel rod, slamming it out from under the shield and smacking right between Bakugo's legs, hitting her mark. Ouch! That's gotta hurt! It's a bit vulgar, true, but so were the curses that immediately came out of Bakugo's mouth following that as he staggered back. Momo peeked up as she dropped the shield, taking out another steel rod. Taking out another steel rod. Was there a break between rounds? She needed to fuel up if she was going to fight Izuku after this, and swinging both of them at Bakugo, who recovered from the underhanded shot with a scream and started setting off explosions towards her, causing Momo to flinch but not stop her attack. Yaoyorozu is not messing around and going for it, but Bakugo isn't going to hand this win over, and as he's proven, he respects his male and female classmates too much to hold back. This is truly a battle of strength where neither will hold back a single punch until one of them is out. If I can get a few seconds, then I can make something in particular, but he won't give me that kind of time, which means instead, I could always try something. Momo held her steel rods like swords, blocking Bakugo from a blast directed directly in her face, but denting the rods as Momo made up her mind, shoving Bakugo away from her as she ducked away, letting them fall past her, but not letting him turn and set off the explosion he was planning to. Turning to face him and kicking at his back, she watched as she racked her mind for the formula she needed. Got it. Momo shot out a net made of a mix of synthetic fibers and Kevlar, doing her best to wrap it around Bakugo, who blasted it away but still wrapped tightly around his leg before he could react. Momo grabbed the other end with one of her steel rods and yanked it just enough to pull him off balance as she threw a fist towards his face. At the same time, he threw an explosion at hers. Momo brought her foot up and went to kick at his privates again, but he noticed and moved out of the way. But it made his blast less than accurate, her fist still connecting with his cheek. "What the hell is wrong with you and kicking at my dick?" Bakugo yelled, grabbing onto her wrist and yanking her downwards, pivoting in order to land a hit on her back. Hitting the item she was creating as she dropped to the ground, kicking her legs out and hitting his legs, causing him to stumble as the item she made slipped out of her shirt, reaching her legs as she kicked it at Bakugo, making itself known. The flash bomb went off, and Bakugo roared, covering his eyes as he stumbled back. Momo quickly pushed away this disorienting feeling and lunged at Bakugo, tackling him to the ground and causing both of them to roll on the ground a little bit. "We're close enough to bounds, and he's still recovering." "You jackass!" Bakugo yelled, hitting towards where Momo was. His quirk was making him recover faster from the flash bomb, but not fast enough. Momo pivoted slightly so she was fully facing Bakugo and kicked as hard as she could with both legs, causing him to move back slightly. "Bakugo is out of bounds! Yayorozu moves on to the finals." "What?" Bakugo yelled, rubbing at his eyes and looking down. Sure enough, he was just barely over the lines, but it was still enough. "Are you kidding me? There's no way!" "You lost," Momo said, moving back slightly and standing up, dusting herself off as her stomach grumbled. She blushed slightly, then looked at Midnight. "Is there, by chance, a break before the next round?" 10 minutes before the next round, we have to clean up the area after all," Momo said, then winked. Oh, she was making time just for Momo to eat. That was amazing. "Thank you, Midnight-sensei," Momo said, then turned and walked away. "This fight can't be over," Bakugo snapped, grabbing Momo's wrist. Before Midnight could respond, Momo turned and punched Bakugo square in the nose. A small cracking noise heard, breaking the boy's nose for the second time that day, and sending him to the ground. "Is that enough for you?" Momo asked, then looked at Midnight. "Sorry." "He grabbed you first. I'll allow it. But this fight is over. You head on out. Bakugo, stay down for the medbuds to get here," Midnight said, grabbing the edge of her costume sleeve. "You'll want to listen to me, unless you want to be punished." Momo quickly walked away as President Mike announced a small break before the final match to give people the chance to use the bathroom and grab popcorn, saying it would be a fight to remember. Oh, Momo would make sure that was true once she found some food. A box of popcorn, as well as a few protein bars, were held to her. Momo jolted and then turned to see Izuku standing there with a soft smile. "Congrats! Need these?" Izuku asked. "Are you sure?" Momo asked. Izuku nodded. Then Momo grabbed the snacks and quickly started to munch on them. "I'm on my way to the prep rooms. You heading there too?" Izuku asked. "I have snacks, so yep," Momo said. And the two walked away. "No holding back next round?" Izuku asked. "I'm not afraid to fight dirty, if that's what you mean," Momo asked. Izuku snorted. "That was epic. I'll keep an eye out for that in our fight." "Good," Momo said. Still friends no matter who wins?" "Of course," Izuku said. "I mean, isn't it normal to trade blows with your friends and laugh it off later? If not, well, shoot, I might not have a brother anymore." The two of them just started laughing. And for the finals for our first years, we have our finalists on the stage. Give it up for Izuku Midoriya and Momo Yayorozu. The crowd went wild as the two met at the middle of the stage. Izuku reached a hand out to Momo. "May the best hero win." Momo took his hand, giving him a firm shake. "May the best hero win." "Such sportsmanship!" President Mike yelled. "I may start crying, but it's time to get this fight underway." The two took a few steps back and waited for Midnight to call for the start of the match. Izuku and Hitoshi walked through the halls to the announcer booth, but Izuku proudly wearing a second-place medal around his neck as the two reached the booth. Hitoshi paused. "Are you ready?" Izuku asked. Hitoshi took a deep breath, then reached up and knocked. Aizawa-sensei opened the door almost immediately. "Midoriya's," Aizawa-sensei said. "Aizawa-sensei," both of them said. "Hitoshi's getting offered a spot in the hero course, right?" Izuku asked. "He's the highest-ranking non-hero course student," Aizawa-sensei said, nodding. "Of course." "Yes!" Hitoshi said. Thank you." "Who's he replacing?" Izuku asked. "I'm not sure. All of 1A and 1B made it into the second round, so it'll be someone that didn't move to round 3, Aizawa-sensei said. "I wonder if it'll be Mineta. He never came to the seating either." "Why do you assume Mineta?" Izuku jolted slightly. "Well, he left early, and he's been gross, honestly." "Gross?" Aizawa-sensei asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yeah, still not over the fact that he groped Sue at the USJ," Izuku said, flinching slightly. "I'm sorry, he what?" Aizawa-sensei asked, his quirk activating in anger, but neither boy flinched. "Did you not know?" Izuku asked. Nope, do you mean Asui? Aizawa-sensei asked. Izuku nodded. He's also made some comments towards the other girls. Did you know about those? Thank you for telling me. I'll do an investigation, Aizawa-sensei said. UA will contact your parents and talk to you soon about the formal offer to join the hero course, so make sure you watch for that. Of course. Thank you, Aizawa-sensei, Hitoshi said. We'll see you on Monday, Aizawa-sensei, Izuku said, then took his brother's hand and quickly left to go meet with Kaminari. Good morning, class, Aizawa-sensei said, as he stood up on the podium that Monday, everyone quickly snapping to attention, backs tense, some either gleefully or uncertainly aware of the empty seat in the classroom. Mineta has been expelled for sexual harassment. I'm sorry for all that he's done, and would like to reiterate what I told some of you. If anyone is making you feel uncomfortable, let me or a teacher know, and we will take care of the situation. Am I clear? Yes, Aizawa-sensei, everyone said, Izuku not even hiding the fact that he was staring at the door. Now, I know you're all expecting to see a new student today, so say hello to Hitoshi Midoriya. Aizawa-sensei said, looking at the door, everyone doing the same as Hitoshi stepped into the classroom. I'm Hitoshi Midoriya, but feel free to call me Hitoshi or Purple. I'm happy to be in this class, Hitoshi deadpanned, but everyone could see the smile on his face as he looked around and smiled, finding his seat right behind his twin brother. Your adventure isn't over yet, Aizawa-sensei said, as Aizawa-sensei droned on, and everyone tensed up, ready for whatever announcement he had. Internships are coming up. And, I hope you enjoyed this chapter. That one was really long, and there was a lot of yelling, and I'm not used to yelling, my throat hurts. I'm gonna end this chapter. Goodbye! I'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff.